Some things I've seen lately online have me rather, I wouldn't say angry necessarily, but concerned, disgusted, and need to talk about it. Now, at different times in the past, I've heard people saying things about, there are only two genders. Various people, psychologists and political people, stuff like that, will come out with this as if to, negate anyone else's view or perception of who they are in terms of gender. Like, we know better, we know there's only two, right? And truth be told, it's a lot more complex than that. But what happens usually with viewpoints like this, it is essentially a part of politics in a way, because all politics is memorizing a system, and then coming into new situations and gauging things by using this memorized system. So when you use that with a situation like, and basically what I'm getting at with all this is the LGBTQ movement. Because when you come at things with this viewpoint, from memory, again, that things are absolute, well, nothing is really absolute. So people can say there are only two genders, but what about hermaphrodites, right? Hermaphrodites have been around for, as long as there have been people around. There have been recorded instances of hermaphrodites, in Greece and Rome, and they were often deified. They might have male and female organs. And so these other people might look at that and say, oh, well, those are freaks of nature, they don't count. Well, is it that black and white? Well, let's look at men and women's bodies. Okay, men have testosterone, women have estrogen. But truth be told, men's bodies also contain estrogen, and women's bodies have testosterone. Now, when I was a kid in England, we had a boy in school who no one was quite sure what was going on with him. He may have been a hermaphrodite. Life was not too easy for him. He was not treated well. He was bullied, and he was also picked on by the teachers. I felt very sorry for him. I never forgot the ordeals that he went through. So anyway, when people adopt these rigid viewpoints about things, what it is basically, let's look at it generationally, because the LGBTQ movement, there have always been homosexuals and bisexual people and things like that. But what this movement is basically young people, generally, reclaiming their choice about who they are, what they are, and their preferences in terms of sexuality and relationships. Now, what happens when the older generation comes in and starts dictating to the younger generation how they're fucked up, how they're, you're wrong, you need to do it the way Santa Claus says? Then all it points out is the failure of the older generation. Basically, the older generation wants you to do it the way that didn't work for them, which is absurd. So, anyway, another thing I saw recently, I've known about this organization called the Epoch Times, which is a sort of a right-wing media. I think they have a newspaper, right-wing news, so-called outlet, which is weird and is affiliated with China. It's founded by a Chinese fellow. And they have come out with a documentary about LGBTQ, the subject, basically completely, totally against it, with a lot of, professional, scientific, whatever, psychologists, in the documentary backing it up. Now, I didn't watch this documentary, don't need to. You actually have to pay for it at this point. But it's very simply the same sort of crap. Some people, political people, bringing a memorized system into the world and trying to apply it to everything. Now, the part that is really disgusting to me is going after people who are probably younger people who already have their plates full, who are already living in a world that is a complete clusterfuck because of what these old people did. So now, not only in addition to that, they have to deal with this criticism and these people trying to negate their lives and their experiences, tell them that they're wrong. And they already have enough to deal with, For example, gay people do not feel safe. This is why they live in cities where they're more accepted, so that they don't have to feel afraid of being beaten or killed. And where was I? Well, anyway, it's really reprehensible, and I speak out against it all the time. Anytime something like this pops up, I open my big mouth. Now, there aren't many things that I do that about. As I was saying with younger people who have decided that they would rather be fluid, they don't want to choose between John Wayne and Marilyn Monroe. Oh, you're either this or you're that. It's like, no. You can be a bodybuilder and like to do flower arrangements. It's supposed to be a free country. So anyway, another aspect of all this, the people that are trying to police sexuality and dictate things, it's a sure indicator that they have doubts about their own sexuality. Oh yeah. Otherwise, why would they be doing that? Right? There's no reason for it. Hold on, someone's coming. Hey, how are you? So, basically they have their own doubts, So let's find someone to kick while they're down. And this thing of kicking someone when they're down, I see it now and then down here in the South. I'll hear white guys talking about how, we should be allowed to use the N-word, and or referring to, what is it, Regans, which is the N-word spelled backwards, like code. So, we can still say it, And basically, no idea what it's like to be black in the South and going after people when they're already suffering enough, Same thing with LGBTQ people. I mean, so many young people these days, like I said, they have so much on their plate because they have to live in the mess that the older generation created. And many are depressed, suicidal, self-harming, things like that. And do they really need more criticism? They're already criticizing themselves. Do they need more? It reminds me of some churches out there that try to, use religion to make you become heterosexual or to get you off your addiction or something like that. Which there again, it's them trying to use their memorized system, i.e. parts of the Bible or whatever their religion is, to try to dictate to others, what they should do, when the whole point is it didn't work for them in the first place. So anyway, hey, the other day I mentioned this psychological test that I took, Anagram Institute. And, there are different personality types. The one, number 9, that is the feeling type. It's actually, the people who are that type are actually a very small percentage of the population. It's somewhere like 1 to 3%, depending on the country or culture. Whereas the type that is the reformer, they're everywhere. And what a reformer is someone who looks at the world and says, oh, I can fix that for you. I can fix that for you. I know how to fix things because that's wrong and I know what's right. There again, also from memorized information, not from looking at each situation clearly and understanding what's happening. So anyway, this thing of reformer personality is that it's everywhere, but it doesn't work. It's basically trying to fix other things out there, but not fixing yourself. So the tough thing is to look at yourself, be honest about what you see, or ask others what they see, and then set about fixing yourself. Because believe me, the people out there that claim to be the know-it-alls, political ideologies, religion, whatever, think they have all the answers. Not only do they not have all the answers, they basically have things completely wrong and they have not fixed themselves. So anyway, I guess I'll leave it there. I don't mean to sound too angry, but this is something that is basically like turning into Nazi Germany, or could, where it's already dangerous enough for young people. And we need to stand up to these types, understand why they are the way they are. And talking about reforming, I could look at them and say, oh, well, I know how to fix you and how to reform you. And it's like, no, I don't. I focus on myself. But there are things that can be said to them that can help to enlarge the discussion a bit. So, like I said, this whole thing, oh, there's only 2 genders. No, it's not. It's not at all. It's a spectrum, okay? And the people that claim it's only 2 genders, they're the ones that are probably fairly bisexual, can't face it. So, I knew a kid way back, he had a poster, he was in high school, he had a poster of like a new age rock star on his wall in his bedroom. One night he was asleep in his bedroom, and his father came in drunk, turned on the light, ripped down the poster, screaming, I hate fags, I hate fags, It's like, well, later on, the father, that guy, tried to slip his hand down the kid's underwear, okay? So anyway, what's the moral of that story, or the immoral? Well, anyway, you get the point, right? So how you handle this is up to you, but if anything that I've said has helped you to understand or to address this issue, then I'm happy, okay? Because young people who are in these situations, they need support and protection, not this, I hate to say idiotic, but it's just this really reprehensible criticism, okay? I'll leave it there. Bye-bye.